Hi and welcome. Solidarity Against Neoliberal Extremism, together with a network of other organisations in the city, are building what we call a People's Plan for Glasgow. The People's Plan is a process of exploring how another Glasgow is possible, disrupting the nature of extractive and oppressive forces within the city, holding power to account and building counter-institutions for citizens and broader, fairer power. Under this aim, we became involved with the Glasgow Against Closures campaign, which has been not only drawing attention to the importance of local community facilities, but in the process has been connecting people with local campaigns, engaging with trade unions and community councils, and is currently in the process of looking at organising a People's Assembly. So it's been a really successful model of the processes and practices that we're trying to promote across the city. And it's certainly been very informative for me to watch it all unfold. We're going to start with a quick breakdown of the impact that neoliberal policies have had in Glasgow. We're a city that's known globally for our character and hospitality. We're one of the only cities to have been named the Rough Guide's World's Friendliest City Award twice. The first year we won was in 2014, in which we were also statistically the European city you were most likely to be stabbed in. The second year we won was in 2020, a year in which having a vibrant tourism industry was not the proud achievement that it sounded like. And I just think it's the perfect metaphor for Glasgow because we really are a city of contradictions. We're the fourth largest city in the UK, and at almost 600,000 residents, we're also the most populated city in Scotland. We're the most deprived city and local authority area in Scotland. 47% of our residents reside in the 20% of the most deprived areas in Scotland. The cost of private rents in the city has grown by over 40% from 2010 to 2020. Which is coupled with unequal distribution of council tax burdens, which private renters also have to cover. Glaswegian men and women have the lowest life expectancy in Scotland compared to other local authorities. Figures for 2017 to 2019 show that the gap in healthy life expectancy between the most and least deprived areas was 25.1 years for males and 21.5 years for females. 34% of all children in poverty in the city 34% of all children in the city were estimated to be living in poverty in 2017. The distribution of child poverty and vulnerability to child poverty also varies dramatically across the city. 59% of children in one neighbourhood experiencing poverty compared to around 5% in the neighbourhoods with the lowest levels of child poverty. Our council is the fifth most indebted council in the United Kingdom, in part due to the vast sums that we owe to the PFI consortium. We also have the highest LOBO debt of any council in the whole of the UK. On top of this, the council has received the highest reduction of funding from the Scottish Government, totalling at about £270 less per head from 2014 to 2020. And this has led to dramatic cuts in public services disguised as economically sound developments, such as the privatisation of Glasgow's bus services and the delegation of council duties, such as the maintenance of our city's libraries, sports facilities and community centres to ALIOs, arm's length organisations, such as Glasgow Life. And these ventures, being portrayed as economically beneficial for the city, often have very little positive impact on the lives of the people living here. For instance, of the new housing built in Dalmarnock as part of the 2014 Commonwealth Games regeneration project, only 13% of the new owners and occupiers have any prior connection to the area. The potential offloading of council assets such as the venues through the People Make Glasgow Communities scheme is part of a long-term land and property strategy to reduce the council's asset to raise money for more high-quality investments in commercialised assets like the SSE Hydro. Public money has been used to support the finance sector as part of the ongoing gentrification of the city, in particular in the Clydeside areas. One staggering example of this is the £12 million of public money given to the new Barclays development by the river. And one of our SANE Collective's recent reports, which is by no means comprehensive, has identified £662 million in public money, which has gone towards business subsidies or investments in infrastructure which directly benefit corporations. Glasgow's post-COVID economic recovery plan includes a proposal for a green port, an area restricted zone based around a port where tax and customs are lower than the rest of the country, to attract business to invest there, and in return, those businesses make a commitment to the Scottish Government's net zero and fair work priorities. Green ports are a variation of the UK government's plans for free ports, an idea described as neoliberalism on steroids, whereby goods and raw materials can enter and exit the port without incurring the usual red tape or tariffs. It also means that companies creating manufacturing plants inside the zone can receive preferential tax breaks. And rather than creating new jobs, they act only to shift jobs geographically into within the free port zone. The Scottish Government's proposal for a green port, is slightly sketchy on the details, but since the only distinguishing features presented so far are to ask for net zero and fair work commitments, it's reasonable to conclude that the essential feature of free ports, undermining tax, custom, regulation, and planning standards, would all remain under the green port model. Further, Glasgow's green port would likely be located around Glasgow Airport, given the work that has already gone into making this area a business development hub. And I'm sure I don't need to explain to you the contradictions of having a green port based around an airport. I think that's pretty clear for everyone to see. So our call, therefore, is for Glasgow City Council to completely revisit its approach to the local economy with an alternative regional development strategy, which would seek to replace this big business-led extractive model with a public sector-led investment plan aimed at maintaining the wealth generated through development in Glasgow by anchoring it in the community. Not only will this have the advantage of tackling inequality while developing the economy, but it is also a more resilient strategy. Big business investment is just as likely to go as it is to come based on the changing financial climate nationally and globally. Public-led local community wealth building is far more dependable. Policies to deliver this would include transforming procurement by supporting local businesses and cooperatives inspired by the Preston model, lowering the cost of land for public sector-led investment through a land and property tax and a public land value capture policy, and developing public-public partnerships so that public money is mobilized for public sector built infrastructure, which is run for the public good. We need greater participatory democracy, which fully engages with people and places care at the heart of economic planning. And it's critical that issues of fair trade and climate justice must always be at the heart of future conversations about the city's economy, not sidelined, or has been the case thus far, ignored completely. Cycle lanes dotting about a few trees and the pedestrianisation of George Square does not equal climate justice. The People's Plan aims to highlight and draw together work being done by organisations and campaigns across the city to promote public-led, sustainable solutions to key issues, such as Get Glasgow Moving, which aims to introduce or reintroduce a publicly owned, integrated, comprehensive, sustainable transport system in the city. Glasgow Community Energy, which calls for publicly owned renewable energy systems, and Enough, a degrowth organisation who work to challenge economic growth as a process of environmental and decolonial action. A big piece of our work right now is bringing together all of these perspectives towards a People's Assembly on reclaiming Glasgow's economy for the better. Because as long as this city continues to be solely focused on economic growth, there is no room for lasting, sustainable solutions to the myriad of challenges that actually face the people living here. Another part of our People's Plan process is that we've been running a craftivism project in which we've been asking people to create fabric squares inspired by reimagining Glasgow's coat of arms. Our coat of arms invokes a picture of a city in which a diversity of life is abundant. Our motto, "Let Glasgow Flourish," suggests that it's just that easy. We know it's not. We know that the forces preventing Glasgow from flourishing are symptomatic of a system far wider than just our city. At the same time, we've seen examples of how fearless cities throughout the world have led the way in shrugging off those systems in favour of those that benefit the people that live there. Glasgow is already deemed one of the world's friendliest cities, and we have the potential to be just as fearless. We have the power to be a city that makes amends for its colonial past, a city that acts as an exemplar for social and ecological justice, a city that refuses to be a playground for arms companies any longer, a city free of poverty, a city that maintains and protects its community facilities, a city whose policies make a difference to its health and other inequalities. A city in which no one is left behind is a city that can truly and meaningfully flourish.